Welcome to On Track. I'm Aisha Jaffer. If you've been driving through downtown Louisville lately, you've probably noticed the changes, construction zones, lane closures, and shifting traffic patterns. Right now, the city is in the middle of a major transportation overhaul, from resurfacing and bridge repairs to a new downtown street network plan that could reconfigure how key streets work. On top of that, Louisville has launched its first Department of Transportation to guide these efforts. So what's being done to keep traffic moving and make our streets safer for everyone? Joining us is Jennifer Caummisar-Kern, Executive Director of Metro Louisville Public Works. Jennifer is a hometown Louisvillian and a graduate of U of L's Speed School of Engineering. She's a licensed professional engineer with experience in both the public and private sectors, including work at the city's Metropolitan Sewer District and a range of local engineering and infrastructure projects. Jennifer, thanks for being here today.
Yep. Thank you for having me.
So what led to the creation of the Louisville Metro's new Department of Transportation, and what will be its key priorities?
So I have to say at the outset, I'm incredibly proud of where we are with the Department of Transportation. This was something that came about when I started about 2.5 years now, and the administration said, a lot of other cities have a Department of Transportation, and it feels like we have some challenges that something like this could really address. So we brought in a consultant who did some extensive stakeholder meetings, both with external groups, internal groups, partner agencies like TARC and PARC, and got a lot of really, really great feedback. Historically, what has happened within Public Works and within Metro generally is that transportation functions are split. So Public Works had the bulk of transportation functions, but we also had some planning done and some projects done with the advanced planning team. And then also the team reviewing private development for things like developer installed entrances or road improvements, sidewalks, was housed in planning and design. So the first step with Department of Transportation that became official this July 1st with this budget was moving those other functions, so functions like advanced planning and the private development permitting, under one roof, and then organizing in a way. We do have a new Department of Transportation Director, Bill Bell, who joins us from the State Office of Highway Safety. So a lot of the initiatives we want to achieve are very, very near and dear to his heart. So underneath that director, really clarifying that we have capturing all of the functions within the transportation programming. So you've got planning, you have engineering and construction, and then you have maintenance. So historically, we would design projects, but maybe our maintenance team wouldn't have input, or say solid waste wouldn't have input on where the trash can's going. Can we service that trash can? Is there a better place? Things are much less expensive to change on paper than they are once you have literally built them in concrete. So that's something that we're trying to achieve, is get things better from the outset. The other thing is the kind of key to, and Mayor has talked about this quite a bit, is bringing in project managers to manage projects. We have people who have been managing projects, and they've done very well. But project management specifically, the PMP approach is different. It's a different skill set than we've had historically. So we have people who are working and helping us do tracking better than we have before. Figuring out, where do projects overlap? Where can we add efficiencies? Are we going to do projects right on top of each other? How do we minimize the social cost of traffic impacts by grouping things together, and just trying to be more proactive and take a step back, understanding what the full pie of projects looks like, and just taking a much more strategic approach to how we go about the work that we're doing.
And I'm sure it's good to have all those things under one roof, more centralized on this priority.
Very much so. One of the things that we're taking a look at, and you may have heard, is we do have a sidewalk backlog. When we did a deeper dive, now that we have this focus on looking at things comprehensively, You look at how we approach sidewalks, and we touch sidewalks in a lot of different ways, and those ways aren't necessarily connected. So we've had a lot of discussions internally with our contractors. How do we approach work to be more efficient? How do we get caught up? And understanding, one, how we build, maintain in perpetuity our sidewalk system, and again, doing that much more strategically.
So I want to turn to sort of the traffic situation in downtown Louisville. How would you describe the traffic situation in downtown Louisville right now?
We are plagued by one-way streets, which can lead to some issues. I know that what we hear pretty much universally around the community is that speeding is an issue. One-way streets is something that can contribute to that. We're a hospitality city, so when you have people coming in from other places, it can be very confusing. One-way streets can be confusing for people who live here even, and can be a barrier for people coming downtown or experiencing what we have to offer because they think that's more of a challenge than they want to deal with.
So are there any specific downtown trouble spots you're focusing on?
We have, there are several projects going on right now. Not all of them are ours, some of them because we do have several state roads within our downtown. So there are some projects going on right now. We just wrapped up Main and Story, which was a project that removed a very confusing barrier and put in a more traditional four-way approach. Also added in some traffic calming, defined parking areas, things like that. And that project leads into a project the state's working on, Main Remade, which would also continue the two-way streets. So some of the initial feedback we've had just from a project like that, which isn't a huge project, but very impactful, I think, is that people are liking the two-way conversions, or what we call them restorations, because that is how it used to be.
Oh, really? I
Yes.
wouldn't have imagined that. Yeah, and I understand that too, because I've come from elsewhere to Louisville, and understanding those one-way streets, it takes a while, especially if you're talking about hospitality. So I think that's interesting. I never thought about that as a one-way would make you speed. I don't know if it's because you just got one direction to go, or
Yeah. Well, it's a product of when you're riding alongside a car, it's a little uncomfortable. So then you speed up, they speed up, you're jockeying for position, and there's no friction from oncoming traffic. And that is primarily why a two-way conversion is a proven safety countermeasure, because you have to be a little more alert of things coming at you, things to your side, and you don't have that competing influence of maybe a car driving next to you.
Right. Well, so then I'm just curious about what trends do you know about, or have you been seeing in downtown traffic volumes in recent years, and what kind of factors are contributing to those kinds of changes?
So as far as volumes, I don't have the specific data, but I know on volumes has been a hot topic when we look at projects such as Broadway All the Way and 9th Street. So when you have a transportation project, you want to get a baseline and get some predictions around what kind of traffic is there today, what volumes do you predict in the future. Traffic volumes have been relatively flat, which isn't great as far as getting traffic downtown, but it also tells us that even if we had pre-COVID volumes, a lot of our streets are oversized. So when you look at some of the one-way streets, have a 3 or 4 lane street all going in one direction. The good news is that you don't need all of those lanes, and that there's a lot of room to come back and do some more creative work within the footprint that you already have.
And so, I'm just curious, thinking about that, thinking about safety, thinking about, we were talking about these two-way streets. What are some of the biggest road and bridge projects currently affecting traffic flow into and through downtown Louisville?
I don't have that exact list. What I can tell you is that over the last year, and we are waiting on the final recommendations, we did work with the Jeff Speck team and also Stantec to look at block by block within the Central Business District, New Med, and help us come up with what with those a simple approach to getting those streets converted to two-way, and then what would that phasing look like? So we are waiting on some final recommendations to come out of that. We expect those in the very near future. As far as construction projects downtown, we just recently, or not that long ago, completed the Jefferson Street two-way conversion. Generally, in talking with, there is a fire department there, the feedback is really good as far as the benefits of that two-way conversion, even for emergency vehicles getting places faster. The next big thing is just outside of downtown. We just kicked off a two-way conversion for Muhammad Ali and Chestnut Streets west of 9th Street. So that is lumped in. That is part of the 9th Street grant that we received. So we're still working on design for 9th Street itself, but I'm very, very excited for the two-way conversion for those streets, because I think it will be incredibly meaningful as far as slowing cars down and getting those streets restored to more neighborhood functional streets, which is what they should be acting as now. So that's work that's starting. A lot of that, when we do a two-way conversion, I know on Jefferson Street, people kept asking me, when was the project going to start? And it was almost finished, because it was the strongest sleeper project I think I've ever worked on. With the conversions, a lot of that work happens with traffic signals or signs that are going in that are then covered until the street can be restriped. So people don't really notice even that the work is going on until the day that we go through and we restripe. So
wow, I've noticed that a little bit, and I was just, that sort of answers my question, because I'm curious of like, how long does a project like that take? Like how long, and maybe this is an impossible question of like how long you can take a street like Broadway, or not Broadway, but like Chestnut, like you're saying, to turn it into a two-way conversion. Right.
The biggest project right now that we're working on East Market, New Lou, is a project that I am very excited about. It took a long time to get to construction, but we have been working very diligently and at this point trying to coordinate with keeping all of the festivals going while having the entire street under construction. I think our team has really done the best that they can. It's, I think, a project that will really change. Nulu's already an exciting place, but I think making it really feel like a safer place, the addition of the cycle tracks for bikes, just adding another layer of vibrancy within that streetscape is something that will be absolutely amazing when it is completed.
So just though on those two-way conversions, is there like a general timeline for when a street like that can be converted? Like how long that whole process takes?
So it depends. One of the things that was most exciting about having the spec team come in is that the recommendations that will come out of that are things that could be done inexpensively and relatively quickly. So you can come in and restripe a street, change out signage. Sometimes there's a signal work that takes a little time, could be more expensive, but you get the backbone of what that two-way conversion is. You can always come back and do things like harden a bump out, so adding a bump out in concrete and upgrading. Maybe you could only put posts in somewhere, and maybe you come back and you make that a little more permanent of a structure. But those are things that I think are very exciting, because that approach can be very quick, whereas some projects, I know we have a project that is being reevaluated, the 7th and 8th Street two-way conversion. We're currently looking at what we need to do to go ahead and convert it, but the more expensive longer-term conversion would have things like full traffic signal upgrades and some enhancements at corners that are a little more expensive.
So it sounds like it could be anything from like months to years, depending on the project.
Exactly.
Okay. Now, this kind of gets into a mix of different departments, but interstates like I-64 and I-65 are critical for getting downtown. And the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet has active projects underway from bridge replacements to expansion joint repairs. Do you know how is construction being coordinated, especially with rolling closures on weekend work to ease travel into downtown and prevent congestion during those peak hours?
So one of the biggest things, going back to when we created Department of Transportation, one of the biggest topics was communication. So we would get a lot of feedback that it didn't seem like projects were moving, and we had a lot of projects that were moving, but we weren't doing a great job communicating that. So that has really been a focus as far as, and we're not there yet, but standardizing and getting processes in place for, getting information out about projects. Now that is on our projects. As far as the state of Kentucky or other utility projects, we always try to coordinate, if there's anything that we can help promote. People are never thrilled that they have to drive through construction, but if we want quality infrastructure, it's necessary. I think making sure that we give people as much notice as we can so they can plan their trips or make accommodations, whatever they need to do, is something that we should be doing. We do meet routinely on different items that we coordinate with the state on a regular basis at different levels. So whether that is at the central office level or at the local district level, we do communicate with the state in a lot of different ways.
We'll be back in a moment. You're on track with Louisville Public Media. Welcome back to On Track. I'm Aisha Jaffer, and we are talking to Jennifer Caummisar-Kern, Executive Director of Metro Louisville Public Works. Now, we briefly talked about this, but do you know what's changing with the bridges between Kentucky and Indiana and how that might affect traffic downtown?
So we've got a couple bridges. I know right now the state is working on the joints on the Interstate 65 southbound bridge. So there are some closures there that will be in place for the rest of the year. We are also communicating with the state of Kentucky. The Kentucky Transportation Cabinet owns the 2nd Street Bridge, which we recognize has had it has challenges. And I saw a photo before I left here, and there's a picture of the 2nd Street Bridge with a Model T on it. And that car is just over 5 foot wide. And now we have cars that are substantially wider. So understanding what options are available to modify the bridge so that it can continue to provide service connecting the two states and accommodate newer types of vehicles. The state of Kentucky is actively working on modeling to look at what options are available, likely to remove one of the lanes on the 2nd Street Bridge. So that's something that we're eagerly awaiting the findings of that and excited to hear what they come up with.
Yeah, because this bridge, I know, has had some high-profile accidents as well, and there's some concerns there. So it's interesting to hear what might be discussed to make it safer and on also better traffic flow.
And the other complication is that it's not just an issue with the bridge. So a lot of the modeling is that you have the way that it operates on either side of the bridge. So you have traffic that has to be considered, especially with their project on Main Street too. So it's not just the interaction with the bridge, but how do we make that traffic flow effectively once it gets to downtown and not cause other issues?
And has there been talks about some solutions for that?
So the state is working, I mentioned before, on their project Main Remade. So that modeling is part of understanding how the bridge operates also with the streets that it abuts.
So, something else you talked about before is calming projects. And we've seen those neighborhood traffic calming projects, the speed humps, crosswalk improvements, roll out in other areas. Are there similar measures being planned for downtown streets too?
So similar measures planned. I would say that the projects that we have going on right now all tend to be traffic calming in some way. The approach that's taken really depends on the type of facility. So is it a collector road? Is it, a major arterial? So the approaches that we take will vary depending upon the location. A lot of the projects that are going on, like I talked about, Main and Story, removing the free flow movement from that project. That is a safety issue. And then also reducing in East Market in New Lou, so reducing the width of the crossing for pedestrians, formalizing bump outs so that pedestrians are more visible. All of those things feed into a calmer street, a safer street. We also did receive additional budget funding. Our planning team rolled out, it's the council-directed traffic calming program. So taking a look at how can we, in areas where we know speeding is a problem on things, especially if it's a neighborhood street and is impacting people's quality of life, ability to even be in their front yards, looking at how can we slow things down. And some of those, again, don't have to be hugely expensive projects. A lot of those were just striping or putting in some posts or extending, changing the radius of an approach to slow cars down.
That's really cool to hear. Now, I'm just curious, when we're talking about all the things that we talked about, how are you engaging the public and local businesses in these traffic and safety conversations?
So, just talked about the neighborhood council-directed neighborhood traffic calming program. That was something that we took requests from Metro Council districts, so engaging in that way. We also, on East Market, we're working with the city has employed an owner's representative, JLL, so working very closely with them to send out notice for any changes that we're making, making sure that we're clued into the business district, coordinating with those public events that are going on, making sure we're aware. And also talking about, as we move into Department of Transportation, we're working to get specifically a communication specialist who could be more embedded in those projects.
Right.
So specifically, understanding, hey, we have a project in this part of the county. Who are the stakeholders? Where can we have a public meeting? Having all of those types of data readily available so that it becomes much easier and much more routine as we do projects to roll out information to the public. We have had, I know, on Broadway all the way and on 9th Street, we have had multiple public meetings, pop-up events, things like that to try to engage people and to meet them where they are so that people that normally wouldn't be able to participate in these types of events, saying, hey, we're going to have an open house at this location. What languages are spoken there? And making sure that we have translation services available for those.
Right. So with all these different projects, it seems like there's a lot of projects going on for improving traffic flow and safety downtown. What would you say is the top priority in the next 6 to 12 months?
Well, generally, the top priority is always safety. Reducing traffic fatalities and serious injuries is always the major thing. I think probably the biggest achievement will be that we will be wrapping up a River Road multimodal, which is a project that's going on right now on River Road. It's very near the future Belvedere, so something that will kick that off. Also starting to connect pieces of our waterfront together in a attractive and inviting way. So that's very, very exciting. And then also the East Market streetscape. And I think the biggest thing is starting to build these traffic calming measures and these methods that, as you say, you see these in other places in the country when you travel, starting to see them right here. And so when we start to have projects and reach out and say, hey, You've got speeding. We want to 2A your street. And I've had that conversation, and a lot of times it falls flat because it seems very anticlimactic, doesn't it? But to start seeing these methods actually be built and to see them actually work, because it's one thing to see something on paper. It is another to walk down a street that maybe you've walked down before, and it's very stressful because the cars are a little close to you. They're driving too fast. You've got to look both ways 15 times before you cross the street. You feel very uncomfortable. And to go back into an environment and experience that I am having a leisurely walk down this street. The cars are going the appropriate speed limit because it's designed to help cars slow down. I can be seen when I cross the street. And I feel very safe. And this space it just feels different. I think experiencing the calming infrastructure is something that I can't explain that to somebody. I can't draw that for you on a piece of paper. So that's something I'm very, very excited to see happen.
I think you painted a really beautiful picture. I felt like I was there with you on that street. So if a driver, if we're looking ahead, while all this change is going on, if a driver wants to avoid congestion or plan a safer downtown trip, what tools or resources do you recommend?
So we do have a list on our website, as does the state of Kentucky, for upcoming closures. There are also, I know on the state's website, you can sign up for to get alerts directly sent to you for closures for specific projects. So if there's a specific project that you need to know about every day, and then also checking your traffic maps, seeing if there are changes, but checking for updates or changes to traffic patterns that might impact you on those websites.
Well, Jennifer, thank you so much for joining us on Track today.
Thank you.
Jennifer Caummisar-Kern is a licensed professional engineer and the executive director of Metro Louisville Public Works. On Track is a production of Louisville Public Media. The On Track production team includes Michelle Tyreen Johnson, Alex Biscardi, and Laura Ellis. Our music is by Kojin Toshiro. If you'd like to revisit this episode or explore other community-focused conversations, visit LouisvilleOnTrack.org or find us in your podcast app. Have feedback or ideas for a future show? Connect with us at 502-814-TALK or ontrack@lpm.org. I'm Aisha Jaffer, and remember, being kind is free. That's the start of community. Until next time, you're on Track with Louisville Public Media.
When it's this hot, you need a snack that's cool, fun, and delicious. Like My Mochi ice cream. My Mochi is little scoops of ice cream and flavors like strawberry, mango, and cookies and cream wrapped in soft dough. It's creamy on the inside and chewy on the outside, like a sweet ice cream dumpling. My Mochi is gluten-free and only 70 calories apiece. The perfect guilt-free snack. This summer, grab a purple box of My Mochi ice cream and feel joyfully chill with the coolest treat around.